Yeah, so in the 18th century, Johann Blumenbach, who was a physician, invented the idea of race.
Eugenics.
Well, not quite. He
Okay.
looked at different skull sizes and he separated them into 5 categories. And he said, okay, this is like the Caucasian skull because these come from the Caucasus Mountains. These are the African skulls, the Asian skulls. So he went off skull measurements. He was actually a Christian. He didn't believe that these skulls were equal or lesser or greater moral worth. He just thought they were different, and he thought that the white skulls were the most beautiful. But that's as far as he went, which was already an error by him because, like, who gets to decide that?
Oh, God.
But then,
Okay.
then another man came around. His name is Georges Cuvier. He said, ooh, let me take this idea of race and create a hierarchy. And that was literally the invention of white supremacy.
Skulls?
Yeah, off of skulls. And I mean,
didn't even know this.
Yeah, and people don't realize race is literally made up, and it's a recent invention, and it was used to then justify an economic system of slavery. So when I talk about race, it's like I talk in the language of the culture that we're born into because we live in a racialized society.
Right.
Like at the moment you meet someone like, oh, that's a black person, that's a white person. This is new. Race is new. And it sucks, and we need to stop using it. If you look at societies, great societies that predated America, they didn't have the idea of race. If you look at Rome, in the year 193 AD, there was a man named Septimius Severus. He was what we might call black. He was just a dark-skinned guy, and he happened to be from Libya. He became emperor of Rome. People didn't look at him like, oh, he's black. They looked at him like, he's a Roman. He's legit. He's accomplished things. Let's let him be emperor. But in this world that we've created, rather than just saying people are just different shades of melanin, it's like it'll be weird to say, oh, you're a brunette person. You have the brunette race or the blonde race or the black-haired race. Like it's an absurd concept, but we're so entrenched in this paradigm that was literally created for racism, and it just keeps on perpetuating racism. But race isn't real, and we're attached. Everyone's being too attached to this racial concept that is only about 200 years old, and we could discard of at any moment. So when we talk about like what people say is like a victimhood narrative, I think what people are saying is that, hey, this racial concept has been used to oppress people unfairly. And that's true.
Yep.
And even though there's way less oppression than there used to be, there's still inconsistencies in the system. For example, Black people are more likely to be incarcerated per capita.
Get unfair sentences.
Yeah, unfair sentences. There's redlining.
Wrongly
there's all
convicted.
These things. Yeah, wrong convictions.
Okay.
And it's obviously way less bad than it used to be, but it still exists. And then there's still the effects of, if your great-great-grandfather was a slave, yeah, you're not going to have compounding wealth that was passed down to him and that made your family rich in the year 2000. Of course that exists. But I think the fundamental problem here is we continue to be attached to this idea of race when it caused the problems that we're talking about in the first place.
Right.
So how about instead of viewing people as you're a white person and I'm a black person, it's like, no, you're a human being and you're a woman, because woman actually is a thing, biological female, right? And I'm a human being.
Careful with that.
I'm a male.
Fighting words for people.
It really shouldn't be, because that's a biological fact.
No.
And I'm a male. You have lighter skin. I have darker skin. That's about as far as the conversation should really go. We don't have to ignore the fact that you have lighter skin and I have darker skin, but all these stories that we create about what it needs to mean. It needs to mean, oh, you have an affinity for every other person with lighter skin over people with darker skin. Or I have to have an affinity for every other person with darker skin over people with lighter skin. It doesn't make any sense. And it's not a useful concept. So again, America, it's a concept, but it's a useful one. Why? Because the idea of liberal democracy and laws and free speech, all of these have allowed us to scale a civilization that's given a lot to the world. And it's not just America, China, Japan, France, the UK, all of these are ideas, but the idea of a nation state has allowed us to scale from hunter-gatherer tribes of hundreds of people to a civilization of 9 billion people. Nation states work. What has race given to the human species?
Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed the podcast, please like, comment, subscribe, and share. And make sure to let me know what guests you want to see on in the future.